Feliz National Latina Day, mi reina. I'm your host and Latina mentor, Vanessa Rae Alonso. You're listening to Latina Sin Límites, my podcast para tus sueños, tu business y todo lo que quieras conseguir en la vida, relaciones, dinero y más. I'm a speaker, business hada madrina, immigration attorney, and CEO of Alonso & Alonso Attorneys at Law, where I make dreams come true and keep families together. Today, we gather under the sun of our shared story, rooted, resilient, and blooming. This bonus episode is a bloom from the soil of our legacy. It's a soft but steady drumbeat to honor the mujeres whose bones became bridges, whose roots still feed our fire, and whose fruit we now taste as freedom. I call this Latina Resiliency, the sacred inheritance passed through silence and song, through calloused hands and open hearts. We are not just surviving, we are sowing, building altars in boardrooms, planting power in the places they said we didn't belong. So today, we remember, we bloom. We reclaim our power not as something we hustle for, but something already growing inside of us. This is a celebration y una ceremonia. National Latina Day is more than a date on a calendar. It's a mirror, one that reflects who we are, who we've been told to be, and who we are becoming. For too long, we've walked through systems not built for our names, our roots, our ancestors. We've been asked to shrink in rooms lit by borrowed light, to translate our power into something palatable. But not today. Today we step into full visibility. We speak our verdades in the tongue of our abuelas. We exist con fuerza y con fuego, no longer seeking permiso to shine. This day isn't about recognition for the sake of optics. It's about reclamation. Reclaiming space, voice, story, and joy. It's a declaration that we belong, not just at the table, but at the head of it. Designing, dreaming, disrupting. And yes, we celebrate, but our celebration is also a strategy, because joy for us is resistance. Laughter is a legacy. And showing up as our whole selves, well, that's revolutionary. National Latina Day is a reminder that we are not a trend, a quota, or a box to be checked. We are the blueprint, a whole cosmos of color, complexity, and contribution. So today, mi reina, stand taller, speak louder, love harder. This day is ours, not as a gift, but as a growing flame we keep alive generation after generation. If I had to name the first rose in my garden, the one whose thorns taught me strength, whose petals taught me softness, it would be my mom. My mom is the kind of woman who doesn't just walk through fire, she gathers its warmth and passes it on. She raised me with one hand holding me tight and the other reaching for something bigger, something sin límites. Her wisdom wasn't loud. It lived in the way she stood tall even when the world tried to fold her. She taught me that being powerful doesn't mean being perfect. It means being present, proud, and rooted in who you are, while helping others in your circle and community. My mother is where my lineage of Sin Límites begins. She is the bone, the blueprint, the buried seed. And everything I've grown into, CEO, immigration attorney, business hada madrina, and mother, carries the fingerprints of her Latina resilience. I call it matriarchal magic, the kind of power that doesn't need a podium because it's already woven into everything. The way she opened her business ventures with quiet determination, even if my dad wasn't supportive. The way she showed me the vastness of the universe from our shared sofa bed in a trailer. Her story, like so many of our mothers, wasn't written in headlines. My mother's story was stitched from escaping abuse and providing love she never received herself. And still she bloomed. So today, on this Latina Day, I honor her. I hold her name in my mouth like a blessing. I walk taller because she never stopped believing that one day, her daughter would take root in a world that didn't count either of them in. If I am sin límites, it's because she taught me how to live desde la raíz, how to lead with corazón, cómo sembrar con fe, and how to bloom again and again, like all the roses she never received but always deserved. My journey didn't start in a boardroom. It started when I was a baby in my mother's arms, when she escaped her abusive father to search for her mother, my grandmother. I didn't grow up seeing women who looked like me wearing the title CEO. I didn't have a map, but what I had was instinct, corazón, y lucha imparable. What I had was a lineage of mujeres who taught me how to fight with dignity, how to serve with pride, and how to walk through locked doors, carrying the keys my ancestors forged in silence. My fear delayed my success for 7 years, and I stayed in jobs that didn't value me. But there has always been a fire inside of me. I watered myself down to make others comfortable until I found the courage to build my own business with my own essence. I learned to bloom within the constraints of the expectations of being a good Latina girl until I was strong enough to withstand the storms that come with disobedience. Now as a Latina CEO, immigration attorney, and business a la madrina, I've had to unlearn the myth that professionalism means masking my true self, dressing to someone else's guidelines, speaking in turn, and accepting the rules implemented to keep women down. I've worn hoops and spoken Spanglish in strategy meetings, built an all-Latino immigration firm, helped Latino immigrants obtain their dream status while keeping families together, and mentored Latinas to become the CEOs they're meant to be for their comunidad. I've even gone live on Instagram mid-vacation in a bathing suit, salty hair, and all because our gente deserves to be informed no matter where I am or what I'm doing. Policy shifts don't pause, and neither does my commitment to my comunidad. I call it rooted Latina leadership. It's what happens when you refuse to cut off your identity and purpose to climb the ladder. My success hasn't been clean. It's been filled with burnout, sacred purpose, and deeply personal ties to uplift myself, my family, and my community. It came with nights of questioning everything, of asking whether I was building something powerful for my immigration clients or just performing strength for survival. But every time I wanted to give up, I remembered my why. I remembered that my mom has had a hard life of heartbreak and trauma, and if I could make it worth her while, then her choice to have me at 15 in sheer poverty and abuse wasn't in vain. I remembered the community I serve, the power of visibility, and the power of my support network. I remembered that leadership for me doesn't look like domination. It looks like an elevation. Like opening the door and then holding it open with my foot so 10 more reinas can step in behind me. Being a business a la madrina isn't about fairy dust. It's about fierce devotion. I've built networks and companies with my bare hands, corazón, and all the knowledge gifted to me by my mentora. I've stood up to systems meant to exhaust us, and through it all, I've stayed rooted. Rooted in cultura, rooted in purpose, rooted in a vision that's so much bigger than me. Because when I win, we all win. And if there's one thing I know for sure, it's this. I don't lead despite being Latina, I lead because I am Latina. Our cultura is not a barrier, it's the blueprint. My story, like yours, is proof that you can carry your mother's wisdom in one hand, a dream in the other, and build a business, raise a family, elevate a community, and have a life sin límites. This is a Latina Sin Límites reclamation, and I'm just getting started. Stepping into your poder doesn't always look like a spotlight moment. Sometimes it looks like a whisper becoming a roar. Sometimes it's a shift, quiet but seismic, when you decide to stop playing small in a world that already tried to erase you. So today, I'm sharing 3 soul tools, not for performance, but for practice, for coming home to the parts of you that already know you are worthy, you are powerful, and you are sin límites. The first tool is journaling. I want you to take 5 minutes, light a candle if you need to, and ask yourself, where am I still playing small? What silent binding still holds me to the ground? Sea honesta contigo misma. Is it in how you shrink your voice to not match the sentiment inside? How you delay your dream? How you tell yourself you're not ready when deep down you've been ready for years? Don't judge what comes up. Witness it and then ask, what would my future most evolved and sin límites version of me say to my present self? What advice would she give me? I promise, she wouldn't want you hiding your brilliance. The second tool is the mirror mantra. Every morning, look yourself in the eyes, not just at your face, but into your spirit. Say it out loud. Soy poderosa, soy digna, soy sin límites. 3 truths, 3 roots. Let them anchor you, especially on the days you forget. Because power isn't a mood, it's a memory. One you get to reactivate every single day. Ahora, for the third tool, a micro-action challenge. Speak up in one room today where you might have stayed calladita. It doesn't have to be a speech. It could be a question, a no, a truth, or a bold sí to something you've been scared of. Visibility is a muscle and every rep counts. Because when you choose to be seen, you don't just liberate yourself, you light the way for the next Latina behind you. These are more than tools. They're activations, rituals of a Latina Sin Límites reclamation, invitations to remember who you are and who you're here to be. Your power isn't out there. It's in you, waiting, rooted, radiant, and ready for you to reclaim. If today is a celebration, then let it also be a commitment. A promise to each other that our brilliance won't be boxed into a single day. Because visibility is not a spotlight, it's a shared flame. One we pass from hand to hand, story to story, hermana to hermana. So here's my invitation to you, mi reina. Let's celebrate Latinas not just with posts, but with presence. Share each other's wins, big or small. That side hustle, that scholarship, that leaving of an unhealthy relationship, or that boundary someone finally set. Lift it up, say her name, and make her feel seen. Invest in Latina-owned everything, from your hairstylist to the tech startup breaking barriers, to the candles you burn and the makeup you wear. Our dollars are powerful. Let them be intentional. And most of all, be more than a role model. Be a Latina mentor. Tell the next Latina, aquí estoy, ask me anything, let me help you bloom. Because when we lead with open hands instead of closed doors, we all move forward. This is comunidad consciousness, the sacred knowing that our power multiplies when it's shared. So yes, la lucha sigue, y también la alegría. We are not just surviving this world, we are shaping it. Rooted, resilient, radiant. Every day is Latina Day when we live like we are worthy of being witnessed. And we are. Siempre. Mi reina, muchas gracias for listening and watching Latina Sin Límites. Today, I honor every Latina listening, your power, your softness, your fire. Whether you're just beginning or have been blazing trails in silence for years, know this. You are not behind. You are blooming on time. You carry the prayers of generations and the promise of everything yet to come. You're not just paving the way, you are the way. So if this episode lit something inside of you, pass that flame. Share it with an hermana who needs a reminder of her voice, her worth, her infinite power. Because juntas, we don't just bloom, we bloom sin límites. Let's continue the conversation by following me at Vanessa Rae Alonso and at Latina Sin Límites Pod over on Instagram. I am your host and mentor, Vanessa Rae Alonso, and you can find more from me at www.vanessaraealonso.com. This show was produced, managed, and mixed by Ellas Media. Until next time, remember, you are Poderosa, you are Sin Límites, and you are never alone.